started, way back when I first started working with just about anybody. I really like taking actors and having them do a role they don't usually get to play. That's my biggest challenge to myself, and just as a fan of him as an artist. When I, first worked with George Clooney, he was so good at playing a nice doctor on TV, he wasn't getting any movie role offers. So I made him a killer, like 180 degrees, and then he got all kinds of stuff. Carla Gugino, she was only 28 when she did Spy Kids, but she got sort of labeled as a mother type, because I did 3 movies in a row, successful movies with her, and she had trouble getting any kind of other offers. So I put her in Sin City, and it changed her career. So but even then, even having had experience like that, when Alexa called me and said, I'm really having trouble getting any more grown-up roles, I'm still getting 16, 17, 18-year-old parts, and what's wrong with that? She was 125. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. She said, so if you could do me the favor, if you're ever doing like a Sin City type thing, if you can think of me for some of those roles. And I went, wow, that would never happen. No one's ever going to catch in a role like that. There's just too much baggage. And I realized I was part of the problem, and that the only person who could kind of lift her from that curse was the one who put it on her to begin with. So I told her, I don't know about a Sin City yet. I think it's going to take baby steps. It'll take some while to train the audience because there's just so much swung the other way. But I'm doing a Machete right now, and there's no real part yet for you, but there is a SeFija Vergara character, and she has some women in her group, really strong girls. Why don't you come be one of those? And you can step back. If you don't feel comfortable, step back as far as you want, or you can come as forward as you want. It's really up to you. And if you want to come forward, we'll give you some more dialogue, and we'll make more out of the part. But there's really not a real part to play. And she came in and just went for it and stood front and center and got the craziest outfits and put herself right out there with so much confidence. And I think the first photo that went out from the set to Rolling Stone magazine, it changed everyone's mind immediately. I mean, it was like so quick.
So much for baby steps.
Yeah, so much for the baby steps. I mean, like in one move, people went, oh my God, she's a grown up. My favorite was one photograph that was posted, and it showed her in her outfit, and it said, in Spy Kids, and it pointed to her body and said, not in Spy Kids. And it was amazing. She really wanted to take, and she knew that it would take like 180 degrees from where she'd been to get people to go, oh, and then offer all the different roles in between.
Well, being on set with them, it's like having 60 parents watching over you, because I had grown up with them. And I knew that if I could convince these guys that I was capable of, playing a more grown-up role, that America would be the easy part, because they're more protective of me than anyone.
You're known for, your approach in Sin City, the Sin City movies, was sort of piecemeal. Whenever somebody's available, you would do a scene, you have a green screen background. You can't do that quite like it on Machete. Can you talk
Yeah, you can do that.
So, yeah, talk about it.
I wouldn't have thought that myself, but when you have to, I actually, I would go after the dream cast, and if they were only available 2 days, like SeFija Vergara was only available 2 days. Charlie Sheen had it for 1 day. Mel Gibson for 3 days. We shot very fast, and also I wanted to make a much bigger movie, but we didn't really have the budget. We had just a little bit more than the first movie. So I looked at the schedule we had to have, and we had to shoot this 10 days faster than the original. Most movies, action movies take about 100 days. We shot this one in 29 days. So when I got an actor, what's nice about that is you focus just on that actor. Because I think if everyone had been on the set at once, each one would have felt a little, short-shifted, because I would have had my attention spread too thin. But because I would concentrate, when SeFija shows up, it's SeFija time. When Demian, it was just Demian. When it was Mel, it was just Mel. And I used my editing skills to make it look like everyone's in the same movie, but very few of them overlapped. But that gives you a lot of individual attention for each one.
You mentioned Mel Gibson and Charlie Sheen were sort of these Hollywood bad boys in recent years who've fallen from grace a little bit. Are you fascinated by those bad boys?
Carlos Estevez.
Carlos Estevez can do no wrong. Carlos Estevez is amazing. I would always been fans of theirs. I think if I had gone to them dishonestly and just wanted to chase a headline or a tabloid, they wouldn't have been in the movie, and they certainly wouldn't have given me 150%. But they know me. They know I've always been a fan of them. I've tried to work with Charlie. This is the 3rd time. In fact, this being the 3rd time, when I went to him, I walked in the room and he said, okay, I'm not going to miss out a 3rd time when working with you. Whatever you have, I'll do it. I said, well, it's the president. He goes, oh, who better? And they know that I went to them artist to artist. I really was a fan of them as artists, and that really speaks across all lines. Everybody remember, and that's the feedback I would get when people said, I hear you're going to work with Charlie Sheen. I said, yeah, I've always wanted to work with him. And they'd go, I always loved him. And they said the same about Mel. People, and they're talking about the artist, because that's really what they've been fans of. Tabloids and all that comes and goes. Really, the artist is really what I responded to, and that's what I went to them as, just honestly as fans of theirs.
talk about the Carlos Estevas? Sorry, a little bit about how the whole Carlos Estevas name came about, because that seems to be kicking around.
Yeah, well, when I got Charlie involved, I thought, wow, I'm trying to think of how it would look in the credits and how I would shoot. I wanted to evolve the part even more for him. And I remember we did this trick with Don Johnson in the first one, where it said introducing Don Johnson, which we thought was funny. And so I was thinking, who can I play with that with? And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great? And this is the movie to do it. If we could bill him as Carlos Estevas. I'll wait till we finish the whole day of shooting, and then I'll ask him once he's comfortable. And then that night before we started shooting, he came to me and he said, did you hear what I want to do with the credits? I want to be credited as Carlos Estevas. I was like, oh my God, that's my, okay, then we have to do it then, because that's the way to go. People would be so, especially Latinos would be so proud to go, wow, he had to change his name to get work. We forgot about that. Back then, that's how it was. And that wouldn't be the case today, but back then it was. It shows how much it's changed.
Characters, what the difference and similarities between Mariachi and Machete?
What's the what? I'm sorry?
The characters, the difference and similarities among two characters.
But the Mariachi and Machete?
And Machete.
Well, I came up with them around the same time. I came up with Machete right between Mariachi and Desperado, and I guess because it also started with an M. I think it was just it was a name that, like Mariachi, worked in Spanish and English, and it could be Machete or it could be Machete, or like Mel Gibson says, Mr. Machete. Mr. Machete. And I thought I liked. When I met Danny on Desperado, I told him, you have to be this character that I've come up with called Machete. This was back in '94. And we've been wanting to make this movie forever. And both are very humble people. They're both sort of under the radar. But they have an ability to be larger than life, like Machete, So that's kind of the similarity between them.
For both Danny and Robert, can you speak a bit about working with today's big pop star Lady Gaga, and what do you think Machete would do about this government shutdown?
So with on to the first part. With Lady Gaga, when Machete came out, I heard her in the press saying that she was a fan of Machete the movie, and we wished her music could have been in it. It didn't come out until after the movie was out, and I thought, oh my God, here's a fan of Machete. I'm going to call her up and see if I can get her in the sequel. And I called her, and she said, yeah, she'd always wanted to be in one of my movies. She had studied acting, but music took over because my movies were kind of really theatrical and had a lot of showmanship. And she said, if you look at my music videos, I imitate your movies a lot in them. And so I told her, well, I'll write you a part. It'll be an actual part. It won't just be Lady Gaga playing herself. I'll give you lines and dialogue, and let's give it a try. Because I was a big fan of hers. I thought she was just a consummate artist, and sure enough, she shows up. She's fantastic, really amazing actress. And she was even painting on the set. I let people come paint to kind of open up their creativity, and she was awesome at that too. I think she can do anything if she wants to. And she was just really fun, and I can't wait to work with her again. She was just really captured the camera like nobody's business. It was really good. What do you think, Machete?
I think Machete would go into Mexico and take all the drug money and bring it back.
He would know. He's Machete.
Danny, por favor.
Could you just talk about that awesome armored car vehicle that you had, and also the space cruiser?
Jesse James.
So, yeah, there was if you look up armored cartel vehicles, there was a story about there were some vehicles that were armored that were captured in Mexico, and they showed pictures of them. They looked like right out of the Road Warrior. They looked really cool. They weren't as fancy as the ones we had, so I thought that would be an interesting vehicle to have Machete get across the border in. So I took it on El Camino to Jesse James, who lives in Austin. I said, could you make me a car kind of like this? And he designed that thing, and when it showed up, I mean, it was the real deal. He didn't make it like a movie prop. It's like if you rub your hand across it, your hand is sliced to bits. It's all rusty and metal and sharp and dangerous and heavy. And it looked like a Road Warrior car. And we had Mel in the movie, so I thought, oh my God, we got to have Mel drive the car at some point. It wasn't even in the script that way. It just, made it kind of sort of make sense just to have him go for it.
Danny.
And then what was the other one that you asked for another machine?
Danny.
Oh, the Land Cruiser.
Danny, ¿cómo estás? Mi nombre es Hilda Lazarte, de Actualidad. ¿Qué es lo que más te gustó? What you enjoy more when you work in this movie?
Besando a la Amber Heard. And then there's a lot of great action. And with Robert, it's like real. It's when you see him doing all those flips, and that's him. And it's like, usually they do that with wires.
Yeah, a man that big should
You
not
know?
be moving
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
he does.
Usually it's for 5'4" guys. But it's like, he was doing all those flips and all them. Wow, so it was amazing to watch. You know, and I mean, I love being on a Robert Rodriguez movie because it's solid fun. Robert, see somebody, where did you meet him? Did you see him?
I was a fan of his from his movies that he made in Chile. He stars in his own, action movies. Mandrill, if you ever see that, he's unbelievable in that. And so I thought, if I cast him in this movie, he'll get killed off so quickly that, I cloned him in the movies just so I could have more action scenes with him. Because I wanted to keep having one scene after another. I couldn't find a better villain.
This is for Danny. You've done a lot of support roles. Now this one's built around you. How much fun was it to sink your teeth into a lead role like that?
Well, you know what? It's like no matter what, you're going to bring your A game. I don't care if you're an extra or if you're a day player. You better bring your A game or you're not going to be along. This just means, Robert just said, let's do this. And I think he had enough confidence in me that every day I'd bring my A, and I totally trust him or I wouldn't be sitting here. And I just got to say, it was so much fun. And to me, the only difference in being the lead or being a day player is that you have to be there every day, and you've got to be on every day. So it was like just a roller coaster of nothing but adrenaline and fun. Thank you, Robert Rodriguez.
You are always so busy. What do you do in your downtime?
Make movies.
Good.